There is still so much division within the AFL, so much topics to discuss, so many rumours being displayed. But one thing that looks to be certain is that the AFL round one will be happening. What's up, everybody? It's the Sports Code, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be all about round one AFL predictions. These predictions are just my opinions. They're going to be very tough, especially round one, because we don't know what to expect from any team, and the AFL can change in an instant. And there are many examples of that. So before we get started, please like and subscribe if you agree with the predictions I'm going to say. Feel free to comment if you believe differently compared to what I have to say. Again, this isn't my word isn't gospel. I don't know much about other teams besides my own in the AFL. All I know is what the news has been around and the hype around certain teams. So we'll get straight into it. The first one, obviously, this one was round one always starts off like this, and it usually steals the show. But unfortunately, with no fans, this might not be that show stealer that we often see. But I expect both of these teams to play hard and to make the most out of this. It's going to be Richmond versus Carlton. Now, these two ultimately have a big rivalry with each other, don't they? And they often, every round, this is what it starts off with. But I think, as proved as Carlton looks like they are with the increased veterans coming into their teams to help their young players, and as well as their midfield improving as well, I can't see them beating Richmond, to be honest. I think Richmond are too good, and if in the first round, I definitely think that it's their game to lose here. So for sure, this is going to be it's a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I just can't see it. So my prediction for Richmond and Carlton, I think Richmond will beat Carlton. I don't think it's going to be too close, but at the end of the day, anything can happen. This game is important for both teams. Next up, we've got Collingwood and the Western Bulldogs. Now, this one is also again very very tough to decide because Bulldogs have had heavy recruitment and have also had also play very well against bigger teams. But you've also got Collingwood that have one of the best attacking forward lines in the AFL. This is again another tough decision. But I think, I believe Bulldogs have the real high potential of being in the top four of the AFL. But I just do not think at this time they can beat Collingwood. I think that they need to gel a little bit more together. And their success, in my opinion, will come towards the end of the season. So in terms of Western Bulldogs versus Collingwood, I think Collingwood will beat the Western Bulldogs. I think this will probably be one of the matches of the round. I think it'll be very close, but I just can't see Bulldogs beating Collingwood. Let me know if you disagree on that one. That's a tough one. Another tough one is Essendon Bombers or Essendon versus Fremantle. Now, with Fremantle, the way that they play is very quick, but I think they have a decent amount of injuries. They've also had a lot. They've left a lot of players have left from Fremantle, so I don't know what to expect from them. And the same with the Bombers. The Bombers. Every year, we don't really know what to expect from them because a lot of Essendon fans want to be in the top eight and always every year say that they're going to be in the top eight, but they often disappoint most times than not. So this is no different to me. I think Essendon fans would love their team to be in the top eight, but do they have that potential? Who I think will win this game. I think this game is also going to be extremely close. I think a lot of these first round games are going to be really close and they're going to steal the show. But I think it's fair to say that Essendon will probably beat Fremantle just because Fremantle, with their injuries and people leaving their team, is there much left for Fremantle at the moment? Also Jesse Hogan having to leave temporarily for Fremantle for a few years. It's just a lot for Fremantle to deal with, and I don't know if they're going to be ready for round one, most likely. Moving on, we've also got Adelaide versus Sydney. Now, this one's a little bit more straightforward for me. Yes, both of these teams I do not think will make the top eight. However, I feel like Adelaide has significantly more at the moment than Sydney. Sydney, for many people, are projected to finish as below the bottom two, or could potentially be the Wooden Spooners this year, which is baffling because usually when you think of Sydney, you think top eight, you think that they're at least a decent side. I think they have a lot of young talents that they're trying to grow, and in that case, they're going to lose a lot of games, and they're going to have to accept it and hope for the future to be brighter. So when it comes to this game. I think this one's a little bit more straightforward. I think Adelaide are going to beat Sydney comfortably. But Adelaide still is a team that have lost significant players. Eddie Betts is one to name. They have lost a lot of decent players, but now they're at the rebuilding stage as well. But they still, just in my opinion, have a little bit more than what Sydney can offer them. Next up, we've got Port Adelaide versus Gold Coast. Now, this one is probably the most straightforward. I think Gold Coast will probably be wooden spooners again. No disrespect to any Gold Coast fans, how many of you that there are, but at the moment, there just doesn't seem to be much hope for you guys at all. It seems like your club is failing since their debut, and I don't see it being any different here. I can see you pulling wins here and there, but against a team like Port Adelaide, who are probably going to make the eight, I just don't see that happening. I see Port Adelaide comfortably beating Gold Coast. Could be a very, very long game for Gold Coast if they're not careful, because Port Adelaide do have very good attacking and defence. So, yeah, just be on the lookout for that. Um, this one's going to be tough as well. GWS, Greater Western Sydney versus Geelong. Now, Geelong has gotten a year older and Geelong has gotten a year wiser. But it can, the same team pretty much. They've had very few recruited players. Can the same team perform at a higher level to win a premiership if with very few to recruitment? I think they can definitely make the eight, but I just feel like they're slowly slipping out, and eventually they're going to be at the rebuilding stage as well. I don't see Geelong staying in the eight for much longer, but however, this season I believe that they will still make it and they can still perform very well. They're always a team that can put people in danger. They're a very dangerous team. And when they're on the pedal, when they have their foot on the pedal and they're going, they're arguably one of the best teams in the competition. So however, GWS has something to prove as well. GWS got destroyed in the grand final last year. I believe GWS will finish top of the ladder. I really think that they have a message to prove this season, and they're not going to go away easy. And as much as nobody likes GWS, I think that determination of getting back to the grand finals ultimately what's going to push them through this season. So who's going to win? This is going to be a very close one as well. But I think GWS can just edge it. I really think this will be close because Geelong is a dangerous team when they're healthy and when they have the right mentality. So hopefully this could be a very close game as well. But this one to me doesn't really interest me. I don't really like either of the teams. However, I think GWS will beat Geelong and it'll probably be a close game. This one as well might be a close game, might not. It's very unpredictable between these two teams. It's St Kilda versus North Melbourne. Now, St Kilda, there's been a lot of hype around St Kilda since the transfer period and the drafts and all of that. They've heavily invested into that team, and a lot of people are saying that St Kilda's stacked now. They already had one of the better midfields in the competition, but now they look like they've got a forward line as well. They've got a good, decent back line. So St Kilda looks like they're going to be an all-round team this year, and they could just as well as like the likes of Melbourne can push into the top eight that haven't been they just haven't been there for a while. So maybe this is the right stepping stones for St Kilda. North Melbourne, I feel like North Melbourne are going to be pretty bad this season as well. I don't think they could. I think they're going to be mid to below tier type of team. They could. They could overachieve, but they can definitely underachieve as well. So I don't really know what to expect from North Melbourne, to be honest. But I think St Kilda will beat North Melbourne. I think this will be an average, decent 25-point win for St Kilda. Let me know what you guys think about that. We've also got Brisbane and Hawthorn, two good teams again. Hawthorn kind of on that rebuilding period as well. But the thing with Hawthorn is they are very quick with their rebuilds. They can change things in a heartbeat. We've seen that when Lance Franklin left, they instantly came back after maybe a year where people thought they weren't going to make it. And look, the same thing can happen here. Brisbane, a lot of people were surprised from Brisbane last year. And most of my picks is based on last year. Because at the moment, I can't really judge on anything that's happening. So I have to go with Brisbane here. They finished, I think it was third last year. They didn't have much of in terms of finals. I think they lost every game within the finals. But at the moment, you can't go against Brisbane if they finish third. It's just for me, it's unethical for me to think that. I have to go with Brisbane. I think Hawthorn has a good chance to beat them, but I'm going to go with Brisbane ultimately. We'll see what happens with that. Let me know about that one. Did Brisbane overachieve, or were they supposed to be there? Let me know about that one as well. That's a question a lot of people wouldn't really know, or it's just so weird. We're gonna have to see later on in this season how well Brisbane do. That's another intriguing one. They played very well last season. And finally, the West Coast Eagles versus the Melbourne Demons. For anybody that doesn't know, I am a Melbourne Demons fan. I really love my team, and with the improvements they've made, especially in the wing play, I can definitely see us playing a lot faster and a lot better. However, this is West Coast we're talking about. How can I say with a full heart that Melbourne will beat West Coast and Perth? There'll be no fans there, so that can give us an advantage. But West Coast are clearly the favourites to win this, and I hate going against my team, but like logic has to come first here. My heart is telling me Melbourne can easily beat them, but my brain's telling me look at what West Coast have done. West Coast could finish in the top two. How can anybody go against West Coast? That's my mindset at the moment. How can anybody go against West Coast? They've improved in their team, and their team was already stacked. I think one of their players was suspended. I forget his name. I'm sorry, but he was a good player for them. He got suspended. But besides that, West Coast are just going to be too strong. I'm going to have to go with West Coast over Melbourne. So those are all the matches in round one done in a nutshell. So just for a recap towards the end of the video, Richmond will beat Carlton, Collingwood beats Bulldogs, Essendon beats Fremantle, Adelaide beats Sydney, Port Adelaide beats Gold Coast, GWS beats Geelong, St Kilda beats North Melbourne, Brisbane beats Hawthorn, and West Coast beats Melbourne. Let me know what you guys think about all of those result predictions. If there's anything you'd change, let me know in the comments. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. And the next AFL video, if it's possible, it's either going to be a results video where I go over my predictions and explain the results, or round two predictions. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe if you're new. Take care and peace.